Today, we're going to talk about getting ready for high school and what that looks like as an either a current freshman or an incoming freshman. But before we start, I'm going to thank our partner today, which is University of Iowa. Because of them, we're able to do these webinars and travel to different schools to put these on as well. Our mission at ICANN, you can see here on the screen. What ICANN is, it is a nonprofit. So we're able to provide these webinars and other advising services to you guys for free, whether that is when you're in high school, but also when you are in college and any other point in your life. We are always a free service for you guys to utilize. When we're talking about the services that we provide, it is a big umbrella. You can kind of see here the different things that we offer, whether it's from figuring out career exploration, what you want to do, where you want to go, and how to get there, as well as how to afford it. So while you're going through this, you can see we do help with a lot of things. And if we aren't able to help you with these services, we can also get you to someone who can. If you are interested in getting help with any of these things, you can always reach out to us by calling our main line there, as you can see on the screen, or you can go to our website and poke around there a little bit and see different things that we offer too. We have a lot of different tools. When you are scheduling an appointment, you can either go to our website or call in and we can help you schedule an appointment. This is what our website looks like. It's icansucceed.org. So, like I said, at the top of the screen, you're able to see there's a toolbar with several drop downs. On that toolbar, it is going to host a lot of different resources for you to utilize throughout your time in high school and beyond, as well as that scheduled appointment icon is near the middle of the screen. And right next to that is going to be our events and presentations. So like this webinar today, we provide variety of different presentations. In that icon, you would click and you would click webinars. Any Wednesday webinar that we have is recorded and posted to our website, usually the next afternoon. So you could always go and watch anything you've missed there. Or if there's ones from previous months that maybe you missed, you can go look at those as well. If you are wanting to not do a virtual appointment, like I said, you can do virtual or in person. Virtual appointments would be over Zoom, so it's accessible to you from anywhere. You or your student can jump on at any time and meet with one of our advisors, or you can go to one of our offices in person. These are the offices in our Eastern Iowa Center, as well as our Central Iowa Success Centers and our Western Iowa Success Centers. So we have a variety of locations around Iowa. When you are deciding you want to go to an in-person appointment, you do just have to book one ahead of time since we do have appointments throughout the day already booked. So it is by appointment only. Back to what we are going to about today. It's going to be freshman transition, so a guide to beginning that high school. You would have received, once you signed up for this webinar, the freshman transitions booklet that you can see on the left hand of the screen, as well as a freshman calendar, and it actually doubles as a freshman and sophomore calendar. So when you download that PDF, it'll have 2 different years on it. So not only this first year, but your second year as well is going to be on that. There is a monthly checklist to keep you guys on track as your time you go through high school. We do also have a junior and senior one that you can find at our website, or if you come back for our life after high school, career and college portion of a webinar, you would get those materials as well. But these are both great resources to keep you on track, and anything that I cover within this webinar and more is all in that booklet with links and everything. So feel free to go check that out, or if you haven't read through it, definitely go take a look at it as you go through. Into the presentation today, talking about freshman transitions, there's a lot to think about when you are a freshman, whether that is you have a student who's a current freshman right now and they're halfway through their freshman year, or you have an 8th grader that's going to transition into high school this upcoming school year. It's a fresh start for your student in that high school experience. We're no longer a middle schooler anymore. It is a lot about considering what those next steps are as well. So it's a fresh start, figuring out what we want to do in these 4 years, how is that going to impact our future, and what do we want to do when our time is done here? Because once these 4 years are done and they graduate, what are those next steps for our student? And they can look like a variety of things. But today is we want to talk about those plans so then we can start figuring out those goals for the future. Here are some of the avenues that they can go once they have graduated. So we're going to kind of do it a little bit backwards when we're thinking about it. We're going to try to figure out what those next steps are after high school and then talk about what that high school experience then needs to have within it so we can set those goals. So after high school, when they graduate, it can look anything like a full-time job, a career and tech program, maybe training, apprenticeship, or military, as well as going on to a 2 or 4 year college or university and getting a degree. When we look at the upcoming years of our life and planning forward after high school, right now is where they are, is that red arrow. So that's that freshman year, that age where then in the next 4 years by 18, we would then graduate high school. Uh, After that, then there's that post-secondary education between 18 and 22, whether that's an apprenticeship, a 4 year, 2 year, we're getting some kind of training within there. And then for a lot of our life, we are working. So from 22 to 62, roughly, we are we are working that whole time. So 40 years usually to that average retirement age is when we are doing the next portion of our life. This is why planning is important because we want to make sure that those 40 years of work is something that we enjoy. It's not something that we go on to these next steps and we're lost in what we want to do, or we waste time training in one area and then have to go back to college or something like that. So we want to make sure we're starting our planning now. Why it's important to plan is that we want to make sure that we know what jobs we're considering so that we can then implement that learning into high school and figure out what training we're going to need after high school as well to get that kind of job. When we're looking at education and training options, like I said, it can be a variety of ways, but it is important to know what steps we need to do after high school as well. So that's why we want to make sure we want to know the goal of the career. So then we can know what training and education we need then to start planning now in that high school experience. A great way to figure out what we want to do after high school is going to be with career assessments. Career assessment is going to be a questionnaire of a series of questions asking maybe on a ranking of 1 to 5 or different things like that. That's going to ask about your interest, your dislikes, what strengths you have. It is then going to align those things with careers. So what it would do is it would ask a questionnaire. From there, you would get results about certain careers that align directly with your questions that you answered, as well as careers that maybe align similar to those in case maybe you decided, sorry, I think I may have had a question or a raise of a hand. If you do have any questions throughout this, feel free to type it in the chat and then I can answer your question throughout it. With career assessments, they are nice because they are then going to give you results of careers that may align with your students' interests and strengths. And within those, they are also going to then tell you kind of the day in, day out of those jobs as well to help make that decision. So when you take a career assessment, it is going to then break up into career clusters. So some of your students may see some career clusters and they may see others. With those, there are 14 organized career clusters that break out into careers and maybe more specific subclusters as well. Some examples of these are going to be anywhere from advanced manufacturing to agricultural, maybe supply chain and transportation. So when they take a career assessment and they answer all these questions, it will align them with some of these clusters. When your students say gets a cluster of then looking into like marketing and sales, it may break it up into more specific clusters under that that they can explore a little bit further. Career assessments are important because they are going to help give your student an idea of what they want to do next, as well as it's going to give them time in an area to research and be able to see, okay, what does the salary look like for that? What does the day in and day out look like for that job? What are schools out there that are known for this and get help their students get jobs aligned with after graduation? So career clusters are an important thing. If your student doesn't quite know what they want to do yet, that they can go and they can take these. They would have taken some probably in 8th grade. A lot of times throughout high school, they'll take another one. But we have resources on our website that you can see on the screen, as well as your counselor may have one as well that they use directly through the school. So we have 3 different options that they can take on our website. And then feel free if you do take a career assessment and you're wanting help looking at that assessment, you can always come and schedule an appointment with us to then look through that assessment and we can help kind of guide you and figure out what you may want to do. Once you kind of have an idea of a career, it's important to get hands-on experience. So a lot of high schools will have the opportunity to maybe job shadow different careers that your student's interested in. Another great way to do that in a job shadow is going to maybe be if your student knows that they want to do something and you know a friend in the area or you yourself are in that area, that career field, just going and doing a half day is a great way to show your student whether they are or are not going to like that job. With job shadows, they're going along with those professionals, they're asking those questions, they're seeing the day in and day out. So with a job shadow, this is something that's important during this high school time to help that student figure out whether they are actually interested in the career field that they think that they are interested in. A lot of times students will have a picture of what that career looks like, but a job shadow or an internship could really show them what the day in day out looks like and if they actually will like that. It may also show them that they really don't like what they thought they wanted to go into, which is a good thing as well, because then they're not going to waste time in the future in college learning about these things and spending their time getting a degree in it as well. So job shadows are a great way to get hands-on experience as well as internships. So this may be something that more comes within their college years, or maybe you can get one during high school, but that's going to be the more in-depth look of the career. It might be more for like the summer, or maybe it's a shorter few week period of time that they can get that experience, add something to their resume, as well as understand if they do or do not like the job. Another great way to get hands-on experience if they know what they're kind of interested in is going to be volunteer work. Sometimes employers will allow volunteers in, or if your student's doing silver cord during their high school experience, volunteering for a club that's maybe aligned with that, then they could get some experience and see what people do as well. Or they can always join clubs of interest that align with it too. And then going on forward, kind of talking about how the world has changed a little bit. So 28% of jobs used to only require post-secondary education in 1973. Now it is going to be closer to 70%. So that is why we talk about now being as a freshman, they have 4 years left to figure out what they want to do. So then they can figure out how they get there. And it can look a variety of ways. So whether that is an apprenticeship or career training program, a certificate of 3 to 9 months, diploma, an associate's degree, so those 2-year community colleges, as well as anywhere from a 4-year and going onward into a master's or doctorate to get into their career field, or maybe a military specialized training. We want to make sure this is why it's important to know what career they're wanting to go into, to know what kind of education and training options are out there for it. If your student knows that they don't want to go to college for 5 years, it's important then they're not picking a career that they're going to have to go 5+ years for. If college is not the way that your student does want to go, that is completely okay. There are a lot of other options out there. Apprenticeships and career training programs could be a great option for your student. They are in-demand career fields. You can see the ones listed on the screen. They are jobs that account for 54% of the labor market right now and 54% of job openings in Iowa. So a huge necessity in Iowa that if your student goes and they do the training, that most likely they could get a job within that area and it's in high demand and paid pretty decently. Here are some employment trade options. If I'll let you guys take a look on the screen, but anywhere from bricklayers, linemen, carpenters, electrician, these are all examples of employment trade options. There are also other programs like Earn as You Learn for apprenticeships. This combines not only job training with structured learning, but they are working side by side with professional tradesmen. So they're working along professionals, and like it says, they earn as they learn. So it's no cost to students. Jobs are the student will earn a paycheck as they work and do their classes. So as they're learning and they're building these skills, they are also getting paid to do it. And a lot of times when the student graduates from the program, there's a guarantee in employment after the completion. So not only do they learn for free, but they get employment afterwards. With Earn as You Learn apprenticeship programs, The Iowa Building and Construction Trades Registered Apprenticeship programs are here on the screen, as you can see. They're also in that booklet as well. If your student is interested more in the trades and apprenticeship programs, we have a complete other booklet with just trades and apprenticeships and different people that you can reach out to about those programs as well. Now that we've gone through kind of figuring out how do we decide maybe what career field we want to go into or figure out a pathway. Maybe your student doesn't have to know freshman year specifically what they have to do. But if they know maybe a cluster, so if they know they want to go into the business side, then they could start exploring those careers, figuring out those education options, and start setting goals now for not only the future, but also now in high school as well. A great way to explore this, whether it's freshman year or in the upcoming years, is our Future Ready Career and College Fair. So this is in Cedar Rapids. It is March 30th from 1 to 3. Feel free. You can always come to this one, or in this fall, we always have our one in Des Moines. We will have more information about that on our website in the upcoming months, but a great way to learn more about different colleges in the area and those career and apprenticeship programs. Now that we know maybe what we want to do and what different avenues we can do to get there, then we start preparing academically, and that starts now in high school. So when we are preparing academically, it is going to start with that 4-year plan. So each freshman would have one. They would start with it their 8th grade year, and throughout their years of high school, they keep developing it. They keep looking at it and fixing it if they need to. When we are doing these 4-year plans, we want to make sure we have all requirements to graduate high school. We want to keep track of that plan to make sure it's still aligning with what career or major we want to go into. And then if it's something that you have any questions on, always check with your counselor about it. They're going to be that best resource for you. When you look at that 4-year plan, it's going to be made up of a couple things. So it's going to be made up of those core classes. So those math, English, science. It'll have those classes in it that are going to build that solid foundation for not only college, but career-based programs as well. It's making sure that we are getting prepared for those next steps and that we have everything we need with those core classes as well for if we decide to go on to those next steps of college or any training program. There will be other classes as well. Those are maybe those college classes or more or career pathway classes. So making sure that you're also implementing those within your 4-year plan is important to get something outside of those core classes. When we're looking at those core classes, like I said, career training, if it's something you're looking more of the apprenticeship programs, maybe looking more of a career academy might be best for you, or seeing what maybe your high school offers or what colleges offer along with it. As well as when we are looking at college classes. So if you are someone that you know you are career bound, it is important to maybe check in with what college credits uh, would transfer into your next college that you're considering. So when we look at those college classes, we want to make sure they not only are maybe basic requirements that would transfer in, but also that you can start implementing ones that would align within your career pathway. That way you're getting a little bit of a taste of what you would be experiencing in college, as well as maybe some of your interests down the line to make sure that it's still aligning with what you want to do. When we look at college credit in high school, um, we want to make sure of a few things. We want to make sure, yes, they are free classes and students should take them and take advantage of them, but we want to make sure that when we are doing these, that we are being careful when doing it, that we are actually ready when doing these. Um, Simply thinking that they're a free credit, yes, I understand it saves money down the road, but they are the start of your high or your college transcript. So if you fail a class, it is a fail on your college transcript. Your college will look at it when you are applying to school. So we want to make sure that when we are doing these college classes, that we're taking them seriously. We're not putting too much on our plate. We know that we can handle what we do have, as well as we're taking classes that are appropriate for our grade. We don't want to be taking a junior year college class in our junior year of high school. We want to make sure that it is maybe that first or second year kind of level, and that we would be able to complete it and complete it with a decent grade. These are important things because when you are applying to schools and maybe getting scholarships, academic scholarships down the road, this can affect that. And you don't want just because you decided to take too many classes to affect how much free money you could get when you do get into college. Looking at a 4-year plan, this is what it's going to look like. This is just the requirements to graduate from high school. So a lot of things you can see, maybe 3 to 4 years, world language 2 to 4, 1 to 3 for electives. When we're looking at optimum preparation, what is recommended by the colleges themselves, it is going to look more along these lines. So you can see that each of those core courses are 4 years. This is because, like we said, they are those foundation blocks that you keep on building. We want to make sure we are building those as well as we're maintaining that education throughout those 4 years. So when you get into college, you still have that knowledge right there in your pocket that you didn't maybe take a year or two off in high school and then you're behind now in college when you have to start paying for classes. As well as sometimes when you get into college, you may not take a math class your first semester or first year. So you want to make sure you're not getting behind just because you didn't take all 4 years in high school. As well as looking at that world language, this is one that I always recommend. If you know what you're interested in or where you want to go, start checking those requirements. Each college has different requirements for world language. Some, your student may not have to have any world language to get accepted into and graduate from. Some schools may require at least 2 years to get into their school, and other schools may require not only 2 years to get into their school, but 4 years to actually graduate from their certain major or program. So this is something that they could take all 4 years in high school and have it for free and have it at a slower pace and be done with it. Or if they take 2 years, they may have to take another year or two when they get into college if their college requirements state that. And for electives, again, that's around 1 to 3, just putting in what works best for your college schedule and or your high school schedule and what you need to graduate. Another thing colleges are going to look at is not only that high school transcript of your core courses and electives, but also your GPA. So your cumulative GPA throughout the 4-year span. So this is why we say freshman year is a fresh start because it is a fresh start on your classes, those grades, your GPA as well. We want to make sure through these 4 years, we are going strong. We are applying ourselves the best that we can throughout this time. Because we can look here at these 3 different students that are examples, and you can see that first student there starts out with a 2.5 for the first 2 years. Going into junior year, they start taking it a little bit more seriously and get a 3.0, then a 3.5 their last year. That middle student is consistent the first 3 years, and then their last year, senior year, they decide senioritis, they don't want to, maybe they don't want to do as much homework, maybe they don't want to study as much, and they get a 2.5. That has dropped their GPA to a 2.94, all because of 1 year. And looking at that student before, those first 2 years, it still keeps their GPA below a 3.0. The last student stays consistent all the way through and they have a 3.75. So looking at these 3 students, this is why it's important all 4 years to stay very strong because with these, when you're looking at it, it can be the difference of a lot of free aid that they could receive. So whether that's community-based scholarships or scholarships through the school, I worked in admissions prior to this, and I know the difference between a 2.87 to a 3.75 if your school offers academic scholarships could be roughly around $10,000 of free money every single year. And they simply get that by applying to the school and having a good GPA. So staying consistent through those 4 years is very important to your student, making sure that if you have questions, talk to your teacher to make sure we can keep that GPA strong. So talking about your GPA and keeping it strong, like I said, making sure that we're staying on top of things. If you have a question, ask your teacher. If it's something where a life event or something comes up, you're having a hard time, just communicate. It's important to communicate with them to get the extra help you need, to maybe see if there's some way you can adjust your assignments, or as well as just staying on top of your homework, whether that is creating a schedule that's in your phone, on your computer, and an actual physical agenda, making sure that we are doing that so then we can complete our homework on time and we're studying for those classes as needed. And then obviously, attendance always counts. If you're there, you're always learning. Another thing colleges will look at when accepting students into their school is going to be entrance or placement exams. So right now, there are a lot of schools that are test optional. So for an ACT or SAT, that entrance exam, they may not require it to be accepted into the school. This does not mean we always at ICANN always say that you should take it at least once to have a score in your back pocket. Not only because maybe a school down the road may require it, maybe they don't require it now. In the future, they could decide to require it again. Or for some scholarships, we know from talking to several different colleges, some scholarship you need an ACT or SAT score to have on your application to be able to actually qualify for that scholarship. So we've known from University of Iowa, we've talked to someone and they've had a student come in and they thought they had a bad score, but truthfully, it was pretty decent. They didn't put it on their application and they missed out on almost a free ride because of that. So again, something to talk with your admissions counselor about to make sure that whether to put it down or not, as well as I would always make sure that you take one and have your student do it so that they have that test score in case they need it. When schools are deciding on acceptance, it is going to look made up of those three things, that ACT or SAT score, if they require it, that GPA, as well as their high school transcript as well. High school should be a well-rounded experience. So we've talked a lot about academics, but it should involve a lot of other things as well. So whether that is extracurricular and activities, so getting into clubs and orgs, maybe some athletics, some volunteer time, maybe working so that your student can help pay for college as well as they're developing other skills. And obviously always having a balance of social life, that they are having fun with their friends, being responsible with those choices, but having that time for them as well. These are all things that students should be doing when they are in high school. So with getting involved, we want to make sure that we are being active and getting involved because it's not only going to help with scholarships down the road, it's also going to build life skills that they'll carry into that college or workplace experience. With the extracurricular activities and community service, these are going to build leadership skills, teamwork, organization, and time management. It's also going to maybe help them learn about careers and make connections down the line. We have a lot of students that we talk to that from maybe something they're involved in high school, that's how they get a letter of reference for scholarships. Maybe it's how they hear about something that they get involved with down the road through college. So it's important to do these things because they can lead to a lot of other opportunities and skills. So involvement does equal scholarships. This is something that throughout your experience, definitely get involved in clubs and extracurriculars, volunteer part-time, because it's going to build those skills, but it's going to also show scholarship committees when they start to apply to them senior year that they have these skills, that they are well diverse, they can manage a schedule, that they've done a lot within their high school experience and have earned a scholarship to go to college. When your student gets to that portion of time, they are going to be asked a lot of the same questions about those experiences. So their education, activities, involvement, employment, honors, and awards. These are all things that we want to keep track of through our time in high school as well, because scholarships will ask for them time and time again. A great way to keep track of this is going to be an activities resume. With an activities resume, you can see on the screen here, we also have a template on our website that your student can utilize and plug in their information, and they can incorporate their own stuff if they want. But it is going to be a snapshot of that experience that your student can put down what they did and what year they did it. So even if they only did it 1 year, they still deserve that credit for it because it's their snapshot of their experience. As well as this is a great thing to have because then every application that comes along, they can just say, see attached activities resume and save about 15 to 20 minutes of their time for all of these questions instead of having to write it down individually and remember it every time. So that's why we recommend starting this now. So your student can just keep adding on to it every single time they do something else within their high school experience. And the number one tip that we have during this time in high school is becoming a planner. So again, figuring out what works best for your student, whether that's on a phone, on a computer, a physical piece of paper or agenda, figuring out how to plan and organize their time so that they are being effective with their time management skills and getting their stuff done when they need to, that they can make sure they're ready throughout the years. Again, that checklist that we had at the beginning, a great way to help your student plan and get on track so that they also take that skill into college. So they can stay on top of their stuff when they get on their own. Another thing that is important about the future is going to be the financial aspect of it. I know this is the one that a lot of people will stress out about more, but we just want to start thinking about it now so that when we get to our senior year, we aren't stressing about it as much. We've started figuring out how to plan for it, how to understand it, and then maybe more of the specific stuff comes our junior and senior year. So when we look at financial aid and trying to understand it, it's going to be made up of a few things. So we have that free money, so grants or scholarships, as well as self-help aid, so that work study or loans. So down the road, when you're figuring out financially, can you afford college? What does that experience look like? What schools can you plan to go to? When you are looking at how to afford it, these are the things that you're going to look at and maybe be offered as well. When we are understanding financial aid, we have to look at what maybe the relative costs are of schools. So here is a chart of anywhere from a 2-year public school to a 4-year public college to a 4-year private college. So this is just for the academic year. So that first one, you can see there's a wide variety depending on also how many credit hours you take, as well as then it goes up the scale. These costs are per year, as well as they are only covering the tuition. So tuition of what it costs to go to the class and actually learn. It doesn't cost any, or it doesn't have any housing or food or any supplies that they have to buy. So any books they have to supply or extra transportation costs. It doesn't have any of that built in. So just what it costs to go to class, not what it costs to live and eat on campus. So again, this can be a big chunk of change. And that's why we want to start thinking about it now and what we're planning to do so that we can start preparing for how much we may have to spend down the road. So some of the realities of financial aid is that scholarships and grants, so that free money may not cover it all. A lot of times that free aid is only going to be higher your freshman year, and it goes a little bit lower every year after that. That's because as a senior in high school, you apply for a bunch of scholarships and they may not all be renewable. So they may cover that first year or first semester of classes. So when we're looking at our financial aid and how we're going to pay for college, we want to make sure not only can we afford it our first year with those scholarships, but we want to be able to make sure we can afford it the upcoming years as well when we may not have all that free money. Families should start talking about it now. That's why we have this freshman transitions presentation. We want not only your student to start considering what they want to do and what that takes to get there, whether it's college or apprenticeship program or training, but also what that is and how we're going to pay for it. So having these conversations of, okay, am I paying for it or are we splitting it? Is the student solely reliable for their college experience? So I've had multiple families where the parent never told their student until senior year. So it's important to have this conversation now so your student's not blindsided down the road if they're going to be having to pay for their college education. As well as figuring out if you do have a 529 college savings plan for the student, that they know that they do have some savings already coming their way to help plan for that. When we create a plan, it's going to help cover those costs and make sure that maybe if your student does need to work during their high school experience, that they can start on that and start saving as well. When we are preparing for those next steps and looking at financials, scholarships will be one of those big things. So again, not only with that activities resume, but making sure we have enough to put on that activities resume. So getting in, not only having good academics, but making sure we're getting leadership opportunities, community service, getting into clubs and organizations, maybe athletics, so that when we prepare for scholarships, we have stuff to put on there to help qualify us for those as well. Ways to save for college could be an Iowa College Savings Plan, that 529 plan. This is then something the parent would invest in to help save for their student. And then I will let you guys look through the rest of the list here, but these are all great ways to help save. Or if you have any of these, start talking to your student about what it is and how it applies to them and how they'll utilize it. And if it's something that you're considering, definitely talk to a financial advisor or the person that you trust with your banking so that you actually know more about it when that savings time comes. And one thing, if you leave with anything today, just starting to form a plan, just have that conversation, whether it's figuring out if your student will have to take out loans, if everyone's contributing, or if it's only your student. What if it's something where your student will need to get a debit or credit card during their time in college. These are all things that we can start having conversations about, or at least on the parent side, start conversing about figuring out maybe what that looks like for us and your family. Just another little few things with the parent's role. As we are going through these 4 years of high school, it's important for you just to obviously provide guidance and support through this time, making sure that they are building those skills, getting that time management on their own, making sure that they are being reliable for some of their things and their activities so that they are building not only the time management skills, but maybe money management skills as well. And that we're pushing them to do extra things so they are getting those other skills like leadership or people skills as well. With that time management and everyday life that they are going to have after high school, there are other things that you see here on the screen that we want to make sure we're prioritizing to help prepare them best for those next steps too. And again, that money management. So banking, whether it's they have a checking or savings account, making sure they understand what that is, how to budget for it, and what, as they go through, maybe learning more about those loans as well. So when that time comes and they have to take it out, they understand what that is. A great way to do that is when they hit junior or senior year, we will have a financial aid presentation. It's understanding financial aid, and we go through the FAFSA form as well as explaining what those loans are and what different things that you should be seeing in your financial aid package. If you're looking for other resources for help, Virtual College Coach is a great way. This is from Iowa Department of Education. You can scan that on the screen. You'll receive one-to-one support with different things throughout the year. It's not only for students, but it's for parents as well, and they can help give you tips and reminders throughout the year. So some of your next steps, just to, since I gave you a lot of information today, some of those next steps is making sure that you are taking an assessment. So if your student doesn't know what they want to do, make sure you're going and taking an assessment to figure out what those next steps may be, what those career goals are, so we can do some job shadows. We can figure out maybe what are some college classes they may be interested in down the road that could apply to that. And leading into that, some college prep courses, if you don't have them on your 4-year plan, that we're implementing some of those maybe the next review time, as well as getting involved outside of the classroom. So again, academics are very important, but making sure we're getting in some volunteer time, some clubs or organizations, maybe working to build those skills and build that activities resume. And then having that conversation with your family for that plan for the future for what your financial plan will look like. And if you have any questions, reaching out to an ICANN advisor or going to our website and start looking through some of our resources, as well as you can always create an appointment with us. Again, we are a free service to you. So any appointment, any email, any phone call, always free. So if you're wanting to figure out career assessment, if you're wanting to just have a conversation about financials, we can do that for you. You will have a survey that will pop up after this. Feel free to fill that out. We would love all of your feedback, as well as some helpful resources that we have. We are on all social media platforms. So we will keep you posted on things throughout the year. We have tip of the week videos. We also, if you go to our website and sign up for our e-alerts, it's on our main page, you can sign up for it for. This is going to give you grade level alerts as well as the tip of the weeks directly to your email. As well as the years go, when that senior year comes, any information about FAFSA and college and scholarships, we will send out to you as well. So feel free to follow us on any of those. And that is going to be the conclusion of our presentation here today. I want to thank you all for coming and watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and I will answer them. I will stay on for another minute or two to see if I have any. But thank you all and have a great day. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions yet. I'll stay on just a little bit longer. Um, but also if there's something that you guys think of or would rather email, feel free to do that as well. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and jump off. Everyone, have a great night and good luck on the upcoming school year.